Hey everybody, welcome to Ken Knows Gambling. And the question is, so you want to gamble for a living? Okay. So this is the next part of my series, and that is tough questions that you have to ask yourself before you even think about making a move like that. So, question number one is, why? Why in the world would you want to subject yourself to gambling for 100%? Now, not talking about part time and weekend warriors, not talking about that, where you're actually earning 100% of your entire salary is based on gambling. 100%. In other words, you're going to pay your bills, your car payment, your insurance. Remember, you're a 1099. You're just like you opened up a franchise store at Subway. Okay? It's up to you for insurance. It's up to you to pay for everything. Okay? Down to your toothbrush. Every dime's going to come from gambling for a living. Have you thought deep, hard? Why do you want to subject yourself to that? Okay? Because what most people don't understand is the mental fortitude that it takes. So, not dabbling too long, but why? Why would you want to give up a job? Why would you want to give up security? Why would you want to do any of that to gamble for a living? Um, Really, unless the answer is it's just something you always wanted to do and you're prepared for it, then you just don't want to do it. Okay. The next question is very important one. Are you willing to move? You've got to move to a casino. You've got to move where you're really, really close to a casino so you don't have the expenses that it takes. You can't just fly here, fly there. You can't do it. The expenses will absolutely eat you up. So, are you prepared to move to a area that has a casino? If you're not, you're already dead in the water. Okay. Big question is this that'll encompass a lot of it. What are you prepared to do to gamble for a living? 100%. What are you prepared to do? And if you've got to be prepared to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. Whatever hardship, whatever bad comes your way, you've got to be willing to go all in 100%, no reservations, triple focused, and be willing to do whatever it takes. Okay? Again, most people can't do that. They don't have the brain fortitude to do it. Okay? So what are you prepared to do it? You've asked yourself why. You've come up with a good answer on why you want to do it. Okay? You're ready to move. You're willing to move. Now, what kind of bankroll do you have? And that's going to be my next video because we have to figure out what kind of bankroll you need. Okay? Because when you move, you have to have money. You've got to have some sort of a budget. Okay? It ain't like I've got X amount of thousands of dollars that I could risk at the table. You've got to be able to have expenses. Okay? Expenses to get yourself somewhere, expenses to get an apartment, expenses to furnish the apartment, expenses before you can even think about it. Look what happens if you open up, let's say, a Subway. You've got to get the building. You've got to get the tables. You've got to get the machines, the ovens, the food, the napkins. You have to get and spend so much more money before that first customer walks in. Same thing with this. You have to have the money to spend on all the expenses to get you where you can even sit down and make a bet. So, have you done that? Have you budgeted? Have you thought of every little thing that you're going to have to spend beforehand? Okay, if you haven't, this is just a fantasy world to you, and that's cool. I hope you enjoy it. All right, so what are you prepared to do? Have you got your budget lined out? Do you know what your bankroll is going to be? Do you know how much money that it's going to take for you to even live? Okay, you've got to know all these things before you can even figure out what bankroll you need. You got to figure out how much money you need to make on a daily basis. So I guess what I'm saying is you really have to ask yourself tough questions. But at the end of the day, the question is, what are you prepared to do to put yourself in a situation where you can gamble for a living? All right. And as promised, I told you I was going to keep these little videos short. My next segment, we're going to talk about budgeting. Budgeting. What kind of money you might have to even start this thing. What kind of bankroll you're going to have. All that good stuff is going to come at the next video. Okay, I know we're getting some of this boring stuff out of the way, but it's really important for you guys to think, and I'm telling you, maybe 1 in 100, maybe 1 in 1,000 people can actually do it. Remember, you're not playing poker. If it was poker, it'd be a different world. A lot of things you can do if you know what you're doing at poker, but we've decided that you want to do it and play nothing but casino games. Okay, do you know what games to play? Do you know what games to stay away from? Okay, you've got to know all this stuff before you can actually decide that you want to gamble for a living. All right. So we'll call it a day for this particular video. My next segment is going to be on budgeting and bankroll. You will want to stay in tuned for my next segment, budgeting and bankroll. Huge segment. We'll pretend you've got the mental fortitude. You've asked yourself the question. You're prepared to do whatever it takes. Now we're going to get down to money. What it's going to take. Okay? So until next time, y'all, thanks for joining me. Be great.